Welcome to session 2 for today. I'm Nishant from Birlasoft. I'm a solution architect and I lead the OTM WMS practice for Birlasoft. So today we are going to talk about some key transformational project what we have done it for one of the leading telecom company. Over next 40 minutes, we'll talk about it. About the company, what they do. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's a telecom company, so they are into the complete leading one of the telecom industry across the globe. What were the challenges? Because here, what we tried to do and we had implemented for them transportation management and the warehouse management solution. So we'll talk about the few challenges, what we're having before the implementation, why they decided to go on this transformational journey, and also we'll talk about the solutions what we have implemented. We call it as an integrated solution. We'll talk about all the components, different areas. I'll try to keep it short because if I'll go on, this will be a long discussions. But I'll try to keep it short. That what are the different scenarios, key processes, what the different components, what the criticality it was there during the project, what we had implemented, right? And also about our experience, what the challenges we faced during that implementation, and how we help them to transform across their process. And last but not the least, we'll talk about that, but at the end of the day, what we accomplished, and on top of it, the value realization, because this is what everybody or every company or the customers looks for when they do the investment to any of the new digital transformation or that journey, right? So let's go. So the company is one of the leading telecom company, and obviously they have a very complex supply chain kind of the network, because they do as a being a telecom company, they do a lot of services. They're operating, 1.2 million network site they do have. 300,000 plus mobile towers, 900,000 plus broadband solutions, uh, and obviously, this solutions also includes the SIM cards movement, inventory, all those trackings and everything, right? So so they do end to end. You can see all the big towers, what the how telecom company operates, what are the different components like switches, BTS networks, the transmitters, broadbands. I'm talking about these items, but 100,000 plus if you go down those SKUs, what they operates across. So that's what it was there. So it was not very easy project, or it not. I would say it was complex, but it was good to have. The whole journey when we help them to transform or harmonize their overall processes, right? So that was one of the key things what we did it for them. uh, Challenges. So yeah, being this scale of the range of the product, the range of that item, the SKUs, the complex supply chain. Obviously, they were struggling because they didn't had a very integrated kind of the solutions at present. So they'd have. I would not say they were not having that any application or software to run these kind of the processes, but they had a very I would say that in-house built small components, very is standalone. Those transactions were happening. Few of the things they were doing manually outside that applications. In warehouse, typically, if I ask you, even though they were using at the backend ERP was that EBS, but they were not using the warehouse management over there. They just somehow they are trying to manage those through that inventory module, and few of their processes by using the customs in-house solutions. And same goes for the transportation. Transportation, they didn't have any end-to-end or any the robust applications. So just one custom application where they're just punching all the suppliers' invoices. That's it. So no, but if you could see those challenges, I'm not going line by line, but the planning. Obviously, everything at outside on the calls, on the emails. Okay, so they're not able to utilize the vehicles. So how many vehicles are being dispatched? Tracking is one of the things because I mean they don't know what's the TAT, right? So what time it is going to be this going to be get delivered these material to respective sites because their installations has to be done. So those delays, a lot of issues, complaints what they are getting that we don't know where the trucks are. And when they even received the truck, they said, okay, 3 of that items are missing. Even trucks were empty, but why not you guys have loaded other items that were supposed to be for this site? So the consolidations, I would say that utilizations, the proper way of that inventory on that warehousing side of it, even in the warehousing side of it, the way they do the put away process, right? So it was kind of the pretty manual. It was not a system guided put away process. So they don't have the complete inventory visibility, where to store that item. This item has to go which facilities, and along with that, which item was that number and inventory is there. So these kind of the challenges, I mean, in the receiving, they had and also when they do picking process, right? So that was also kind of the manual. I mean, they don't have the proper rules. Like if obviously this is not a CPG company where you have to always check that whether the product is expired or not. But being those heavy equipment, right, start from that small components to the heavy equipment. So you need to also that to check that, okay, which equipment has come forth. So we have to utilize this for this particular tower or this particular network, right? So those kind of the picking process, the rules were not defined. So those things were that on that experience or that manual activities, whoever, I mean, the warehouse operator. So overall productivity and efficiencies were not there. So obviously, and few more critical solutions what we have deployed, and they had a challenges. If I'd say that. The whole gate entry process, right? I mean, if you are operating in the multiple big warehouses, DCs, docks, you always have a at the gate entry process, what kind of the truck is getting into that warehouse, what the security guard is asking, what that validation they are doing it, the dock appointment for that particular warehouse. So these things were obviously on the calls and the emails, but not through that applications. So there, obviously, these were the typical business. Apart from that, obviously, day-to-day challenges were there operational. But these are the few typical challenges what we have seen when we started this engagement, and that's how. We put up our solution, and obviously, those solutions include that Oracle, the best fit, where we transportation management and the warehouse management, both of the cloud side of it. I'll talk about more that journey as well. So, but yeah, I mean, in the nutshell, what was the key drivers for this implementation, right? Why customer wanted to go for this project? So obviously, there were the few reason of the customer centricity, your overall all shipment visibility, your tracking, your automations, which they want to bring it into that, because in this fast world everybody is into the digitalization. So and you, if you want to be AI ML kind of the things to be get implemented, at least your base ERP base process has to be implemented, right? Then you top up, you keep on adding that AI ML features to further automate the things, but your fundamentals, all the process has to be strengthened at the back of that in execution system. So those were the key drivers. Then they decided, okay, we have to start this journey, and where we started talking, and we had being a Birlasoft, we call it as an integrated logistics solution. So we have a templatized solution in place. So when I said the integrated templatized solution, so which is that pre-integrated with OTM warehouse with the help of that OIC, what would be the standard integrations? Obviously, what we have put up as a part of it. So we have shown them, I told them that this is how we can start with the templatized solutions, obviously, and then your top of those process and scenarios can be built on top of it, right? So they agreed to have this transportation as an OTM, but warehouse was still under that time in discussion, where they want to have this EBS as an on-prem warehouse to leverage, or will it be that cloud WMS? So there also we gave that how the future roadmap of Oracle is, what all the new things are coming up. So obviously, if you see that longer run of 5 to 7 years, so of course this EBS warehouse might not be help you for the longer run. So that's how you should go on this WMS cloud. So that's what the customer agreed to have this transformation project along with that OTM WMS with that integration with existing EBS, because they kept they want to keep this EBS as a backend ERP. So obviously inventory, we leverage over there, and we have a couple of integration with that warehouse. I'll talk about those uh, architecture and the solutions component. But yeah, if you could see this solution component, so in around it was transportation management, warehouse management, for the tracking and other specific, we used Freight Tiger and the Here Map also to be integrated with it. OTM Oracle EBS was that ERP. We also leveraged BI and FTI in that WMS and TM. So this is, and also there were a few other integration with the suppliers and the government portal, what we have done it for them. So this is overall architecture diagram kind of thing. You can see that how this whole process and architecture looks like. So at that, if you could see that OTM, where it also got integrated with the TBS with Oracle WMS. Freight Tiger we had used for that the real-time integrations, and Here Map for the planning, address validations, what we have used it. Mobile app, obviously OTM inbuilt mobile app, we have also put it. So this is that across that complete architecture looks like. If we double click on this, this is at very high level that how the data flows was there. So if you could see that on top of, obviously it's a EBS, that backend ERP. So all the source truth of the data being your master data, and initiation of your any of that order is from that EBS, and of course all that master data, be it your item locations, customers, suppliers. So everything is getting created in that EBS, and it gets synced to that OTM and WMS, and all that orders, be it your inbound, outbound, whether it is a sales order you're talking about, or the purchase order, or any kind of that order, right? So it is getting initiated in EBS, and there will be additionally integrations with the WMS to just to reconcile of that inventory, because all that inventory is getting resided in EBS. So whatever that execution happening, whether it is an inbound, outbound to respective items, right? So it is getting synced with EBS inventory module. So this is nutshell of that how that overall integrated data flow it was there, where that all that order is being created into that OTM, then WMS, then we'll have a complete process flow till the planning, and then the plan shipment is updating back to the WMS, actual shipment from the WMS to back to the OTM, and the same for that inbound and outbound process flows, right? It's all about the touch point that at which stage those data is getting integrated. So, and obviously few other integrations like supplier and the government portal is also got added on top of this architecture. All right. So these are the few scenarios what has been covered. So you can see that, obviously the typical the movement was that inbound and outbound process, right? So under that inbound process, this all return movement order, or your repair and return, your B2B orders, your typical PO process, the stock where you generally create a purchase order, then and ASNs, IoT shipment, receiving SRN. So these are on the part of that inbound, and outbound side of it. We had a different movement, B2B orders, move order. Whether that move order is within that internal sites or from customer site to the customer, warehouse to warehouse. I mean, there are a lot of return to the vendors orders as well, because whatever that we are receiving, and they were receiving those parts or the equipment or that item from the different vendors. Obviously, after the receiving the quality checks, a lot of things got rejected. So that has to be returned back to that particular vendor. So those process also need to generally get initiated through that application, that and to reconcile that inventory, right? So end to end those logistics, because that also need to be get tracked. So those process are also as a part of the complete scenarios what we had done. So here it was like as I mentioned initially, right? It was around 300 300,000 plus sites, lot of warehouse, lot of DCs. So we categorize, bifurcated them into the different circles and the zones, where to make sure that effective planning, to make sure that how you able to consolidate those orders, right? When you look into that complete planning from the transportation side of it. So that's where and that could be a direct movement, or the multi stops could be the one pickup and 10 delivery kind of it. So that can be other 10 stops to 15 stops delivery, or the multiple pickups or the multiple drops. So these kind of the scenarios were also there. We also leverage the ground schedule, because there were the fixed stops where this deliveries happens. So for few of that scenarios, we use the ground schedule. We leverage the ground schedule that functionalities as well, apart from these multi stops or the general planning what we do it in the OTM, right? So those things we consider to make sure that we need to have those robust planning in place, and we are achieving that maximum utilization, loadability, and the consideration of that order for that particular circle, or that sites what we have defined as a part of that zones, right? These were that how we started approaching during our implementation, and to make sure their overall network should be in that OTM, and those planning they will get benefit out of that. Uh, Quickly, if I very high level, if I'll explain you that outbound flow, that how within that different applications these data is getting flow. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see, but I'll quickly explain that you will able to relate that. So obviously, as I mentioned, that all that orders are getting initiated from EBS. So this is outbound. So all the sales order or any move order, whether it is a site to site or warehouse to warehouse or to the customers, right? And it gets created into that OTM as a order release, and subsequently into that as a shipment into the warehouse. And then we'll have order validations. So that to make sure that all the data is there, items, dimensions, those things we have received or not. So those process and those validations is happening at that order level. So we are having the few action checks which we had put it to validate at least few of the key items or the key details at that order, so that that planning will have a proper output and will get that required desired output in the planning. And once done, so we have a shipment created. So obviously this is an automated shipment. So we generally, we schedule this work plan. So every morning this runs, right? So most of the case, and then the whole day that executions happen. So it is auto work plan, but for the certain or exception cases, we also kept out as in terms of the flexibility to let user or the planner to do the planning, whatever if any urgent case comes after. So that's how we bifurcated these two things. And then once we plan it, right? So then we have the complete that okay, how many trucks was that utilization based on those threshold. If it is matched, then we are sending these details to WMS, because the load plan is happening in OTM, and we are feeding to that warehouse team. This is how that you need to load it, and you have to start picking up the material from the warehouse, right? So once you create that SO and the shipment in the warehouse, and then they will be having that outbound process in place. So based on that, they generally start just to give that notification. So OB plan load that gets created into that WMS, so that warehouse team can start doing their picking process. And I'll talk about that the picking process, because in picking process we had defined a lot of rules. The wave template has been defined over there, that what basis you need to pick that particular material, right? So we have bifurcated into the facility into three zone, like FIFO, that active location, and non-FIFO. So because there are certain and those items attached that cannot be first in and first out. So those categorizations we generally we already did it based on that input from the business. And but most of the case is the FIFO case. So those wave template generally runs, and then their picking process in that WMS. I mean, they do it and they start packing, and that at a till that staging, I mean, before trucks comes for that loading, right? So parallelly, the warehouse teams does, and then in OTM is automatically it goes to the tender and to the service provider. So transporter checks, accept, and they also have to update that which driver or which vehicle is going to be there assigned, right? So obviously they don't own fleet, but I mean, this is required to have the driver name and the fleet ID. Obviously, we are not using those fleet management modules, so it's just the text what we have provided to just to give these details. And once these details will be fed into that system, then there is a one process is of token creation. So this token creation is something very typical. I would say that scenario or that use cases they wanted to implement, and that is and we have provided the solutions to how you can create, because this is that some unique number they want to generate, and with this unique number they want to track that complete logistic shipment and file or extract the document for the government and all those things. So it's not the shipment number, it's a typical token number they want to create it, and based on that token number till the delivery happens, and every token number has to be very unique respective to that particular shipment. So we leveraged our tracking event page, and we modified it, those manager layouts. We put it very user convenience. I'm going to show that I have a few screenshot on that. So we create this, then the token number gets generated against that particular shipments, and this token number along with that driver and the vehicle detail, it send it to the government portal. So why to send it to? Just to check that whether this vehicle is having all the valid documents, they have paid the tax, insurance, whatever that generally the government portal they want to get it validated. So against that particular, so once this get validated, and it's a real time integrations to that API is what we have done it. So this TNT is their one application. From there, this government portal gets connected. So we send it our. It's kind of a planned shipment only, but just sending those specific details, the driver, trucks, details, and once it get validated and we get that status, it's passed. Then driver start. I mean, to be in the warehouse, right? And once the driver and the truck reaches to the gate, so there is a process of the gate entry. So security will ask for the respective token number. Against that, we have given very simplified screen to the security guard. They just enter the token number. They will get it, all those details. They validate it. Okay, this is the same vehicle. This is against this. And they just click it, okay, I mean, this is that gate entry of this particular vehicle, and we again leverage that tracking event screen. So once this gate entries, the security guard will say that, okay, this is the gate entry, we are going to have this vehicle, that automatically that will, the details will, that notification will send it to all the warehouse operators, and along with that, the integration will trigger to WMS where this dock appointment and this appointment happens. So that warehouse team do the dock appointments for that particular vehicles, for that particular shipments, to make sure that our picking has been done, so we are ready to load it. So based on that notification, this vehicle entered into that warehouse, and they do the loading, they do the ship confirm. Once the ship confirm happens from the warehouse, the status will back to that OTM, and then of course the tracking will get started. So here we do the tracking. As I mentioned, we also have the Freight Tiger is one of that platform where the real-time tracking is happen based on the GPS. The second way of the tracking, we do it the SIM-based tracking. So a few of their vehicles, the transporter vehicles, are not GPS enabled, so they want to do the SIM based tracking. So how that is going to happen? So obviously we need to have those SIM based tracking based on what driver is using those numbers and details, right? So for that, for every case where we go for the SIM based tracking, we need to take that consent from the driver. So this driver consent is, again, we are sending that details, driver details, to this TNT platform, and there from here they just generate a one SMS to the driver mobile, and driver has to accept those as a term and condition. So that means they're giving that consent that I'm ready to provide you the SIM based tracking, and along with their phone number, right? So once that consent comes, so then we have a get out, and then so unless this consent will not happen, it will be not be get out. So that's that validations are there. So and then it will be get out, and then the proper tracking starts. In the case of the SIM based tracking, if it is that GPS based tracking, so obviously we have a real time tracking events coming into that OTM and from the Freight Tigers, and that's how we generally do the tracking, right? All the key milestone till that proof of delivery happens and it gets delivered. So here also that proof of deliveries part is, and so once the delivery done, some of that driver uses the OTM mobile app, and some of what they do, they uploaded those proof of delivery documents through that carrier portal. I mean, OTM carrier portal, they just log in it, and their transporter upload against that particular shipment. So that's how that complete, and then that once this complete, then it's invoicing process. So this is typically the complete outbound flow, and similarly what we have inbound flow as well. So more or less is the same. Only typical thing is that we initiate this inbound, obviously starting from that OTM, and once the planning and everything has been done, we are sending into to the warehouse application, and where the truck arrives, the same process of generating the token number, gate entries, and the dock appointment, this process. And once that for the inbound process, the truck enters into that warehouse, in that particular dock. So there the complete receiving process happens. So in that receiving process, they have a two-step of the receiving process. They first unload that goods and kept it in that staging area. They do the QC check whether this is damaged or is not any shortfall of those quantity, or sometime is more than what they have ordered. So for that, there is another process within the WMS get started. So after that, it will be the second step of the put away, what we generally. So in the put away, there are multiple steps, or that automated put away, those process what we have defined it, and that is because we wanted to have those system guided put away, and these all receiving happens through that RF devices. It's not that manual, that one by one. So everything is through that RF device, and once that all receiving is done, then automatically through that RF devices it is getting put away, and to be in the respective locations it is having then. So this is how I mean generally, and the same thing, right? Once it is there, so if it is any QC reject or damage, then again that return order process again gets initiated for that particular supplier. So and until that invoicing, those that all the different verification, and but one thing is that during these all process, whatever the scenarios comes under that outbound and that inbound process, right? So we have lot many checker maker kind of the things, because every steps they wanted to have the validations, and we don't want to make it lot of I would say workflow heavy kind of that solutions. We want to keep it very light and scalable. So that's how we played around, I would say, a lot of screen sets, manager layout, workbenches. Just now what Kathy explained about that, what the different functionality is coming up or what we have already in that workbench. So we try to utilize as much as possible. Obviously, with the new functionality, those can be also be leveraged. So this is that very nutshell, that what kind of those solutions at very high level we deployed it. So like integrations, so those the seamless integrations, so that a lot of manual works got rid of it. Digital way of having those gate entry process, the token generation process, the consolidation, the planning way we have achieved the big way, because that's where the sweet spot, and they were not doing anything in terms of the planning. So now we have a proper way of having the order consolidations, proper way of having that fleet utilizations. We always check that fleet has to be get utilized at least 92 to 93%. So those kind of the threshold we had kept it until, and then we release those trucks, right? And we try to see that what max order can be consolidated in that particular truck. So and validation of the truck vehicles, so these things were not there. Same ways tracking what we were trying to do it. A lot of things we have done it in that invoicing side of it. So obviously I mean, it's all that multiple suppliers, right? They are giving a monthly invoice or sometimes a quarterly invoice. A lot of invoice, you need to do the consolidations. So we put up those different consolidations and different hierarchy-based approval as well. So it was not that one level of that approvals. Obviously, the first level of that approval, what we had set it as a threshold, but they want to have a multiple level of the approval. So we played around this different statuses, screen sets, and manager layout and menus to try to make these the different roles, so that the multiple level of that approvals can be achieved. So credit note, debit note, so those processes also we implemented. These are the part of the solutions. Already explained about that ground schedule, what we have used it for few of the planning. That is also we have leveraged. And similar thing is WMS side of it. So this is what we try to do it. The major part what we have done it, that automated their complete put away process, and the strengthen their the picking process, because those were the where things that a lot of warehouse productivities were they were not able to utilize all those things. So a lot of time, effort, a lot of labor, incentive, manual process were there. So now we have got it those at least those a complete inventory visibility. The in if we have that. I mean, because of this put away process, we know that which item has been placed, which facilities. Obviously, it was there, but it was not that streamlined, because if we know that, okay, SIM card. I mean, let's say, I mean, this one tower component volt is there. So along with the next, at least next to that, that should be that related their pipe or pumps should be there, right? So so that. Those guys don't have to run across that warehouse to find the similar set of all the components across the warehouse. So those things were there, but we tried to tag it. We did it the serialization of that each item. So obviously, few of the serialization we couldn't achieve through the WMS. So we leverage EBS side of as well for that item serialization. We also did it that lot of labeling process, and that is also helpful because for the serialization process and those different items, so you need to have a different type of the customizable label. So I mean, we achieved it through that WMS cloud, and we did it the few integration, and few are still going on with the different supplier like. I mean, they main supplier a transporter are the Kuehne+Nagel, and we are trying to integrate directly to that OTM. So their OTM to the customer's OTM. Currently, they are just logging and putting all those details, but just to make sure that in order to somewhere we'll log in and do it and provide all those details to have those integration in place. So those things is that coming phases we are trying to do it and just upscale that overall solutions. This is the few screenshots. I mean, just I have put it that how the different roles and planning we try to achieve. Multi stops kind of the scenarios. This is what I was talking about, that how the token number generation. So this is that typical just one simple screen what we had provided as a tracking event screen, just to allowing users to just add these few details if the vehicle number is not already there, so they can just quickly on the fly they can create it, and these details, and based on that this automatically the big token numbers, obviously there's a BNG rule, so gets created. So this is a simplified screen, and same way the security guard will log in and they will only get to enter that one or two fields, right? So just to further simplifications what we have done it. So as I mentioned, I mean, we have played around a lot of Mrs. Kathi was explaining, right? Fixed drop downs, field screen sets, manager layout, workbenches. We try to utilize whatever the top box functionality and come up with that workaround. So how we can make those simplification for that user convenience, less clicks, less steps, less fields to get enter, and try to automate the process through that agent. So that's where our goal was, to streamline that complete process. Yeah, I mean, these are the few on that invoicing side of it. So in invoicing, we did it. I mean, there are a lot many things we have done. I have not kept it because of this time constraint. We even use that fuel surcharge. That approval process also, rate factor, of course, obviously we use that, but there were also that few exception scenario, because they want to have a multi-level of approval for specific for that how you are deriving the fuel surcharge and all those during that invoice process. So those things we try to put it, and we into the workbenches, and try to give them that overall visibility, that when somebody is approving, they will be having all that related details, all that documentation and everything they can see it in the same screen, right? So that it will be easy for them to do the quick approval process. This is on that WMS side of it. This is the EBS screen. I mean, most of you guys know it, and this is our cloud, WMS cloud, that how we have segregated these FIFO, non-FIFO, active, different categories where that items are tagged with the different put away process. I mean, this is for the inbound receiving process. So few screenshots. This is for the doc scheduling, that how the doc appointment and everything, how we are doing. So all the details just sending from that OTM, or automatically that appointments gets created in WMS. They align and they assign that available docs, and then accordingly that vehicle gets entered, and they can be placed to that particular dock, because the moment they assign this dock, that notification goes to the security guard that okay, this is the dock where this vehicle has to be placed, and then that generally happens. So that's how this is the complete process to that application they are achieving now. This is few screens on that outbound process. You can say that the first two screens are that how in EBS the different order is getting created, it is coming to the WMS, and then we have a pick list report, and then through that RF, this is what that picking process is happening. So this is how it is going. I mean, I just put it the few screenshots from the WMS and that OTM side of it. So I mean, how overall Birlasoft helped to this transformational journey? So as I mentioned, it was not as easy, right? It was kind of, I mean, 18 to 19 month of the project, because this many of the sites, rollouts, and the lot of processes, and it got challenged, right? So when somebody is using the same application, custom build application or something manual process from last 15 years, they don't want to come out of those processes. So it's always to have those push from so that's why and to make those simplification of the process, when you try to do those simplification of those process, trying to put up the some best practices, obviously it always, you think that it's a best, but there's always a resistance to accept those things, right? So obviously during that 18 months of the journey, we further divided into that how we should go live. So we made it into the phases, right? So we decided, okay, let's do it this OTM first, because where there's a lot of challenges and problems are there, a lot of manual process are there. So we, for that all the sites, we completed OTM into the 3 phases, and then parallelly started with that warehouse. So by the time OTM has completed all the sites, we had only 3 warehouse by the time that go roll out, because warehouse process, we saw that on the user side of it, lot of processes and challenges. So that's what that was taking time. And then we having only that warehouse rollouts, obviously the same templatized solution. So that's how we try to plan it. And obviously at today, if I say that all that OTM site has been live, and for the warehouse, we're out of 36 warehouse, 28 warehouse has already been live, and that 8 warehouse what we are working on in that next 2 phases, we try to put up and just in couple of months. So that's how overall it was journey, because we, whatever we wanted to achieve, we almost we achieved it in terms of the drivers, what I spoke about in my initial slides. This is, I mean, it's very nutshell if I say that what was that our accomplishment. So obviously this is integrated solution across all your different products, whether it is a OTM, WMS, EBS, Freight Tigers, portal, supplier portal, their application, government application, tracking application. So what we have is we try to standardize the few of the process and the simplified that what we have saved, automated. We made lot of process automated in the warehouse side of it and the planning side of it. So that's how the few of the things what we have achieved. I mean, just summarize quickly. Last but not the least, the value realization. Obviously, uh, coming up, these value realization was, I would say, it's little early, but obviously after the go live, we try to see that at least give it the first step. So we only see this value realization after the 2 quarters of or the 3 quarters of the go live. But once we went live, we try to see that, okay, let's try to analyze what the few of the process you were using previously, let's say the planning or the transportation process, how you are now. So at least we got it the few details. So it's not every tangible numbers you're saying here, only the except these two. So why we have put it these two, like at least what we have seen that in 20-22% that the complete fulfillment time and those process is become faster. The reason is they were able to do the proper planning in the OTM, and they were having that right set of the delivery time and the tracking all the details in the place. Based on that, they are able to plan well in that warehouse, back to the warehouse, what time their complete receiving process is going to happen, or how the picking process is going to happen. So that's how, I mean, 20% they just gave this number that what we have seen that initial days. And the second one is that accuracy of those delivery date, because whatever we are planning now and we are receiving those tracking details, like if it is in any delay, then we are revising that ETA and all those. At least they are getting that accurate details of the delivery date and the time, right? So that they're able to convey to their different site or different managers or to the customers. So where they are getting, and these details they were not getting anything initially, because that's all where on the emails, on the calls, they have to pick up the call and they have to ask that where is the track, how much time you will get it. I mean, they don't know driver is eating or doing what, and just they're saying that okay, we'll take another few hours to reach, we stuck in the traffic and all. But through that application, these guys are able to track it. And they said that they started seeing that reduction of those cost leakage what they used to happen, where it was not a strengthened invoicing process, the consolidation process. Lot of that the cost line were not validated when we used to do that, those invoicing with the supplier. So at least those things they start realizing, that at least they started seeing that. And obviously they said that it will take time to actually tell that how much actually we are getting benefit out of it. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, these are the few things, efficiencies, automation. So those things, I would say that what we have achieved it. And yeah, we are out of the time. So yeah, I mean, this was my last slide. So thank you so much.